looks than swift.
It's the kind of week in cricket where India are playing every day. That's because they are. We're back at the Asia Cup coverage on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday powered by JBL as India get ready to take on Sri Lanka in what we can confirm, at least as of now, are bright and sunny conditions at the Premadasa Stadium. Big game for both sides. Sri Lanka with a proud streak. They look to extend that, and this will be their toughest challenge as they go on a 13-match winning streak against India today and then Pakistan in a couple of days as the race for the final of the Asia Cup hots up. I've got Anil Kumble with me back in studio and all set, and I must ask him at the very top whether he took the bus from the airport, whether he took a cab from the airport. How did you join us today?
No, I took a cab from here in Mumbai, but yesterday was a nice smooth ride on the bus after a long time.
Yeah, we were just discussing on air. If you do not follow Anil Kumble on Instagram, which you must, and you would have seen the post, and it was received very well. Everyone said, wow, an Indian legendary cricketer using public transport, that's what we need. That was Anil Kumble. The only downside to that, Anil was saying, was he had to stand for a little while.
Yeah, for a long while. Yeah, but it was worth the ride. I mean, it was really nice to go on the BMTC bus yesterday, and it was a smooth ride. I think I encourage everyone to do that actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bus ride after how many years for Anil Kumble?
From college days.
Wow.
Yeah, so I took the bus, BMTC. I mean, at that time it was BTS. So I took that. From my home to my engineering college. Wow. I had to change the bus halfway, and then two buses.
Yeah, brilliant. So that was how Anil spent yesterday. At that point, of course, we were still in studio. I felt I've only just left the studio 10 minutes back and returned to the wonderful company of Farveez, Maharoof in Colombo. Farveez, how are we doing? I don't know if Sri Lanka have been sitting back and saying, this is good. Let India play day one, reserve day, get tired, whatnot, and then we have a chance to beat them today.
Yeah, wonderful to be back, Ronak, and with the smooth operator, Anil Bhai, after a while. Sri Lanka will be happier thinking that India spent 2 days in the last 2 days, actually, and so many hours being spent at the grounds, and all of a sudden they come out to play on the third day, and hoping that Sri Lanka will somehow win the toss and bat first. That will make Indian job even harder. The bodies will be even stiffer. Because just 32 overs, yes, they ended up in the field, but that 32 overs would have taken a lot from the body since a lot of players are coming out of the injury. So I reckon the toss is going to be a crucial factor for me because it's hot, it's humid, as you said. Ronak, sun is out from morning. There was some cloud cover, but everything is clear at the moment. I feel it's a big game for Sri Lanka as well as India.
Yeah, absolutely, and we have clear blue skies, so let's hope it stays that way. But I guess this is where it would have been, I wouldn't say a sleepless night, but a night to think about for the think tank, Anil. They would have had to make a quick decision on, right, are we going to leave it to the players and say, all right, Bumrah, are you okay? Rahul, are you okay? Let's play the same team, or are you just going to have to take that call yourself? What would ideally be the way you would go about things today?
I think you certainly check, especially with someone like Bumrah, but what was good was that it was not a close game. It was not where you really had to fight till the 50th over. And Jasprit Bumrah bowled only 5 overs yesterday. So in that sense, I'm sure he would like to play today. And I don't think there would be any change in the way India would like to approach this. Like Farveez said, toss, bat first, and then get some runs on the board, and then come back and bowl. When the sun is not out. So yes, in that sense, India I don't think will be too worried about that. I mean, they sat around for 10 days and then suddenly 3 days. And yesterday was a good game for India with the ball and not many overs. So I don't think the team management will start thinking that we should give the bowlers a break.
All right, fair enough. We'll wait and find out anyway in a few minutes from now, once the toss takes place, what the teams look like. Let's just build up India-Sri Lanka as a contest in itself, though. Sri Lanka were in India at the start of the calendar year. That was a quite one-sided affair when it came to how the home team performed. But this Sri Lankan team, starting from the World Cup qualifiers and extending to the Asia Cup, are now really stringing a record together. As we look at their head-to-head in one-day international cricket, you could see Sri Lanka have sprung a surprise or two, maybe in the T20 format in the last Asia Cup. But as we look at men's ODIs, since 2019, it's been very much India against Sri Lanka. So all the success Sri Lanka have enjoyed has been in the shorter format. At the Asia Cup, though, is the crucial one. Sri Lanka hold the edge, 10-9 in Sri Lanka. That's quite level as well, 28-30. So this is not going to be an easy challenge for India. And is it fair to say, Farveez, that Sri Lanka, the timing of this fixture suits Sri Lanka in terms of how they seem to be improving with each game?
I certainly think so as well. 13 wins in a streak, and the players are playing decently well. But as I said yesterday, it's going to be a stern test against a quality Indian side. Yes, the numbers, numbers in the Asia Cup, it's quite even Stevens. But overall, in the last 6 years, India has dominated. So that's where I think Sri Lanka has to somehow equal the numbers, because especially playing in India, most of the times the teams India team have won it pretty easily. But this is the time Sri Lanka will enjoy playing India. When I say enjoy, because the Sri Lankan confidence level of all the players will be high, and you need confident players against the top quality side. So I reckon going into this game, playing some fearless cricket, there's another chance. Even though one of these teams loses, another game coming up, Sri Lanka plays Pakistan, India plays Bangladesh. So I reckon this is going to be a punch to the face for both the teams. It's going to be both the teams coming at each other hardly, and knowing that one game is behind them.
All right. Well, as it turns out, a toss has taken place at the Premadasa, and you can always tell a lot on how Rohit Sharma is feeling. He tends to give out a lot of his emotions. He was so happy when he won the toss. He's going to bat first. India are going to bat first, and I guess we can understand why he's happy. Anil.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I mean, you'd like to bat first. Especially if it's the third day that in a row that you're playing, and it's going to be a good surface. We have seen that, and it did quite a bit yesterday when India bowled under those conditions, under lights, and when there was a little bit of rain around as well. So I mean, these are good conditions to bat first. Yeah,
Farveez, you know the Premadasa better than anybody, and as we look at the 3 games we've seen there now, right from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh to the India-Pakistan game over 2 days, we have noticed that while chasing is the way to go with the weather around ideally, batting first seems to play into the team batting first's hands. We saw the ball do a lot last evening. Does this sometimes make it harder, and perhaps have India done the right thing therefore, even regardless of the fact that they played 2 days, batting first at this ground?
Absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer, winning the toss and batting first, especially with the conditions what we are just experiencing at the moment. It's hot, it's sunny, it's muggy, especially, and there's a chance of rain in the evenings. And if it rains in the evenings, the pitch will juice up, and most probably the pitch will do a lot, just like how it did last evening. So I reckon at the moment India will have the upper hand, batting first. If they start well with an inexperienced bowling attack, they could really dictate terms against this inexperienced bowling attack, I should say, of Sri Lanka. But it all depends on the first 10 overs. That's how I'm going to see. When you have a strong batting lineup like India, it's always important to pick up wickets. And if you don't try to pick up wickets, if you just try to bowl dot deliveries and create pressure, these players will benefit a lot. So I reckon Sri Lanka should, in the first 10 overs, with Mahesh Theekshana, with Kasundara, should be attacking at least for the 6 overs if there's any swing available, and making sure they put some terms into that strong batting lineup of India.
Yeah, Dasun Shanaka also confirming that he too would have batted first had he won the toss. You could see which way the captains were leaning. There is one change for India, and it is tactical, it seems, based on conditions. Rohit Sharma says that the pitch looks a bit drier and there's no grass on it, and therefore in comes the third spinner. So Akshar Patel for the first time in the Asia Cup replacing Shardul Thakur. Anil, just a thought on that?
Yeah, I think he was the only other option. If it was dry, the all-rounder comes in. 2 left-arm spinners. There are quite a few left-hand batters that Sri Lanka have. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I was very impressed with Kuldeep Yadav yesterday. He bowled brilliantly. So he'll be the sort of guy who Rohit will look to break partnerships and pick wickets with Jadeja and Akshar just holding the ends, and they are quality spin. I mean, both Jadeja and Akshar Patel are experienced spinners. So, yeah, it's a straight swap for an all-rounder to an all-rounder.
I think we saw this as something India would have as their plan in the home series against Australia. The first time they played Jadeja and Akshar together. Normally it's one or the other. There are opinions saying or criticisms of they do the same thing. So why are both of them in the squad? And how much of a challenge is it for a Rohit Sharma to play both Akshar and Jadeja in the same team. Where do you stand on it, and where is the sort of merit in this kind of selection?
Yeah, ideally, the only other person that perhaps could have taken Akshar's place, because Jadeja, of course, is the senior player here, could have been Ravichandran Ashwin, or if Washington Sundar was fit and then was consistently playing, he's been in and out with injuries, so he was someone who was looked at as the white ball all-rounder, off-spinning all-rounder. So when Washington Sundar isn't available, then the obvious choice would have been Ravichandran Ashwin. I mean, I would have certainly looked at that as an option. I know Ashwin hasn't played one-day cricket for a while, but he came back into the T20 squad. He's a great bowler. He's a quality bowler. So for him to come in, and Indian conditions, World Cup, so you would expect that Ashwin, someone like an Ashwin, would have been the obvious choice. But India, the selectors have gone with Akshar Patel because he's a left-handed batter, and also his fielding, and and if there is any turn or if it's really dry, he's quality as well. We have seen that in test matches, how good he is, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they've gone with Akshar. But two left-arm spinners, 20 overs of left-arm spin. If you have half the side left-handers, then I'm not really sure whether how well that will help.
All right, just confirm the team once, see how it looks. It certainly gives India more batting, you'd say. Akshar Patel certainly offers way more with the bat than Shardul Thakur, and he will be batting at number 8 in this team. The question will remain, as Anil Kumble says, about how Rohit Sharma uses him. It's nice to see no other changes. We thought maybe Shami will come in, or whether they'll give one of the reserve batters a game, since Rahul had a really long session with the bat, and then keeping for 25 overs or so with the in the field. But they've gone with the same team, which we'll come back to in just a second. But the fact that we're just discussing Akshar Patel right now. Farveez, you've got a thought here as well. Whether the two left-arm orthodox spinners, do they play into Sri Lanka's hand? There's Karunaratne and Asalanka in the top 6 as left-handers.
Yeah, top 8 with Devil Lalage. Only 3 left-handers against 2 left-arm spinners. I think it's a good call made by India. That will become, especially with a dry pitch and having the luxury of Hardik Pandya giving you 5 to 7 overs of seam bowling, especially under lights, where we saw yesterday the way Hardik bowled. So that's a huge luxury to have. I spoke about this, in my last show as well. When Hardik Pandya bowls, the balance becomes really good, and India could play with that number 8 spot either way they want. So I reckon Hardik's presence going into the World Cup is going to be very important, especially if he could offer 5 overs. And with 2 left-arm spinners, quality what Akshar and Ravindra Jadeja brings, they're just brilliant cricketers. I mean, brilliant fielders, good batters at number 7 and 8, and going to give you 20 top-quality left-arm spinners. I mean, India is blessed with talent, isn't it? I mean, looking at the options that Sri Lanka has in the batting order, 5 right-handers in the top 8, it's going to be a tester.
And also the fact that, since it's a dry pitch, possibly Rohit will use Akshar Patel in the power play as well. He's someone who, when you look at Jadeja and Akshar Patel, Akshar is slightly ahead when it comes to bowling in the power plays. He's used to bowling that, and that could be one of the reasons.
Yeah, what do you sense is the biggest challenge for a captain when you've got 2 identical spinners? It's not something we see often in modern day cricket, but how do you plan for something like that?
No, nothing like that. I mean, you have quality spinners. Both are quality. So you just use them, the way you want to, because it's going to be a dry surface, which means that, you would want the 30 overs of spin, and that's one of the reasons why you have chosen that. So maybe one of the faster bowlers will not be able to bowl their full quota. So yeah, you use 2 spinners in tandem. I mean, 2 left-arm spinners can bowl in tandem. There's nothing wrong in that. But both are quality. So and Premadasa has slightly bigger boundaries as well. So you could utilize that to your effect. I mean, it's not that just because a left-arm spinner is bowling to left-hander, it becomes easy for the left-hander. Sure. It's a norm that left-handers find it easier to play the left-arm spinner.
Perhaps more applicable to T20 cricket also, more than ODI
yeah,
cricket?
possibly more, but not to one-day cricket. I mean, they're consistent. Both left-arm spinners are extremely consistent, and Akshar is not easy to read as well. The one which comes straight, if there's a little bit of turn, then he gets that, and he becomes even more deadly.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, if they do get 20 overs of spin, we're in for a nice on-time over 8 finish. Let's hope that happens. since we've waited a long time to get these games going. But the weather promises to be good today. Let's confirm the Sri Lankan team for you as well, and it is unchanged. It looks like this is a nice unit that's gelling well together, and we almost seem to now not even consider the fact that a lot of their frontline seamers aren't in action. But Rajitha and Patirana will hold the seam bowling responsibilities along with Asun Shanaka was excellent. Good to see Farveez that Mahesh Theekshana is fit and good. He did bowl the other day, but we were, of course, a little concerned about that little injury he picked up while batting. This clearly is now Sri Lanka's best 11.
Yeah, clearly with the Arsenal, what Sri Lanka has to choose, these are clearly the best 11 possible. And Mahesh Theekshana being the leader of the pack with his experience and the leading wicket taker in this year goes to show that how well he has thrived under responsibility. So it's going to be a stern test, and the biggest test I feel Sri Lanka will go through will be the death overs, because if India keeps wickets for the last 10 overs, yes, Matisha Patirana is renowned for his death bowling those slow balls and wide yorkers, straight yorkers, whatever you name it. But Kasun Raditha, if there's any weak points in his game, that's in the death over. So Sri Lanka can get exposed. That's why I said before it's very important Sri Lanka strikes with the new ball as well as in the middle overs. If not, with the strong batting lineup with Akshar Patel to bat at number 8, we'll enjoy the death overs as much as everybody.
Yeah. Proud team, Sri Lanka, this, and they stand on the brink of a proud record. We've spoken of this streak, and don't worry about who they've played, what their opposition has been. Some of these games were in the qualifiers against the associates. I've said time and again that these associates are beating international sides more often than they used to. Ask the West Indies. But they now stand at number 14 potentially. If we just have a look at the longest streaks in ODI cricket, there is no surprise to who claims top spot. The phenomenal Australian team in 2003 under Ricky Ponting, 21 on the trot, and Sri Lanka, if they win this, go even closer to getting to 14. It would be some feat to beat India, especially after the Indian team we saw in the last couple of days. South Africa and Pakistan, they were all crowded on a 12-match winning streak before this. What's also perhaps instrumental in this is the fact that this streak coincides with them having bowled out the opposition in each one of those games. So this is a team that backs itself on getting 10 wickets. A lot of those games were in Zimbabwe in the qualifier, and they've carried that form into the Asia Cup as well. We're looking at Australia in 9 and 10, South Africa as well in 13, 14. But Sri Lanka now 13 matches that they look to bowl out the opposition. Notwithstanding that they don't have 2 or 3 first choice bowlers, Anil, this is a proud record for a team.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
I think Sri Lanka has always depended on their spin department, and this is one team which uses quite a lot of spinners in the power play. So that's one change that Rohit and Shubman Gill will have to think of when they come out to bat. Theekshana, we have seen with the new ball coming in. I was very impressed with Walalage as well, the left-arm spinner.
Yeah.
He's only young, and it's perhaps the first big occasion that he's playing in an Asia Cup, and he's done exceptionally well for Sri Lanka. So these two spinners are quality. So that's something that India will have to. Yes, they don't have Hasaranga. If he comes into the team, then suddenly these 3 spinners will be quite a handful as the tournament progresses and into the World Cup in India as well.
Yeah, and it seems like Walalage can bat as well. Theekshana's batting seems to have improved. I don't know, Farveez, if you would agree with me on that, but clearly they're offering more than just in that one department. This will be their biggest test, though, for someone like Walalage to bowl against India, I'm guessing for the first time against some of the Indian batters. Just thoughts on what he needs to keep in mind? I'm sure India will look to take him on.
I'm pretty sure the experienced batting lineup of India will try to put the pressure on the young man and not let him settle down pretty easily. That's something that international cricketers do well against a youngster who's just making into the international cricket. With Mahesh Theekshana batting, I think he has improved a lot. He has put a price on his wicket, and we saw not only in the Asia Cup before the Asia Cup, even the qualifiers, some of the knocks he played, giving the support to the batsman, the main batsman who's batting in the other end. It's very good to see. I mean, usually we see the tail-enders coming out there and just swinging from the first ball, but not Mahesh Theekshana. I think ever since he started playing IPL, this is a difference I see in him. He has become a thorough professional when it comes to batting. It's easy when you're a top quality spinner, you're a mystery spinner, not much batters in the world pick you to just stick to one dimension of the game. But with Mahesh Theekshana, what he has done really well is to improve his technique, and trust his defense more. And he has worked a lot on his defense. So I think that's a huge bonus point with Mahesh Theekshana leading the way that he does with the ball and also valuing his wicket at number 9.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the tournament of Theekshana. If Sri Lanka go deep, make the final, even go on to defend the Asia Cup successfully, Theekshana has been a high impact player for them. That he's working on his batting makes him a bit of an all-round option. And it is a former Sri Lankan all-rounder that well, tells a lovely story of how he saw the potential in Mahesh Theekshana. So we managed to catch up with Thisara Perera, and let's see what he had to say.
He came as a net bowler during the 2019 national team when we practicing. So I feel something special this boy because of I can hit every spinners, but I'm little bit struggling to Mahesh. After that, I told him, so you have a nice variation. I'm really difficult to pick you, so that's why I want to bring to the Jaffna franchise and as well as Sri Lanka. He have a nice captaincy qualities. I feel like that because of he's really good in field settings, and he never scared. Okay. That's the main reason. Sometimes some bowlers have when I bring mid off and mid on up, so some players said no, I want this one. So he never said no, I don't. I need mid off and mid on like that. Okay, I'll bowl like that. So that's a good quality of the nice bowlers. I told him the last year also. So he's googly little bit slow. So then after that I said no, your googly must bowl like other balls. So then after that this year LPL he almost done. That means so even googly and carambol and everything same pace. That's the main issue. That's why I said he's really intelligent man and he's learned very quickly. I saw him last 3 years like he's googly little bit slow. Now I think last 1 year to now I think he's really good googly and carambol and everything. He's well prepared now. He want to become a nice all-rounder, so that's a secret. Sometimes I throw to him sometimes because of I saw his swing really hard and it's miss it means so his sides and everything gone wrongly. So I told him, so mainly focus about your bowling and so batting mean bonus. Don't worry about batting because your bowling is the first. So even last season also he practicing really well. Soon after the bowling he always go to the nets and hit. I hope he can do a lot of things to the Sri Lanka national team.
Very good. Thisara Perera, just candid, nice to hear from him. And of course, I've got two bowlers who are very proud about their batting credentials. So it's a fitting theme to discuss. I quite liked Thisara Perera Farveez talking about how he's trying to help Theekshana with his batting, but at the same time reminding him don't worry too much about your batting. He understands the limited potential that he has with bat.
It's appropriate to have two all-rounders, one batsman who bowls and the other bowler who bats in me. So Anil Bhai is a better than me, that's for sure.
Are you calling this man a batsman who bowls? Are you sure?
I mean, I bowled against him. Only will compare with the batsman who I bowled against.
No, I had a very simple method for Ways. When I bowled, I was a bowler. When I batted, I was a batsman. That's about it. There was no one coming and telling me that you're a tail ender, you're a lower order batsman, you're an all-rounder. When I batted, I was a batsman. When I bowled, I was a bowler.
There you go.
Super. Just want to finish on what Thisara just said. Thisara saw Mahesh Theekshana, I think around 2020, beginning before the LPL. And from nowhere, Thisara picked him up in the Jaffna franchise. And ever since then, he's been a revelation. On top of it, 2017, just 1 year before I retired from first class cricket, that's where I first saw Mahesh Theekshana. And he was a 17-year-old schoolboy coming and playing for Coles Cricket Club, one of the leading clubs in Sri Lanka. And we had a semi-final against Coles, which is my club and Coles Cricket Club. this is where I saw him first. And Mahesh Theekshana then was probably twice or three times bigger than what it is now. He's a big boy, big unit. Just bowls those carom deliveries, and he turned the delivery. And I remember when Ajanta Mendes came to the scene. We played him in the nets in the national team, and no one could pick. I had about 20 minutes against Ajanta Mendes. I got out to about 6 times, everything defending. So we saw that talent and we saw that ability with Mahesh Theekshana, and the fast growth what he had within the last 4 years, just incredible. That's purely on hard work, dedication, because for him to perform in the national setup, he had to lose a lot of weight, become much more fitter. And that boy went through a rigorous training schedule with the Army Sports Club, and he made sure now at the moment, the number one bowler for Sri Lanka with the absence of Dushmant and Manindu Hasaranga. So it's a nice little story starting from 2017 beginning onwards, up to date of Mahesh Theekshana.
Absolutely. I think he himself has shared on his own social media the transformation that he went through, the work that he put in, and you could see the rewards that he's reaping as a result. Theekshana is Sri Lanka's premier spinner here, had a big impact even in the qualifiers, even though Hasaranga ended up with more wickets. And as we just look at what Theekshana has potentially tweaked about his game in the Asia Cup in particular, very fascinating to dig up this data, Anil and Farveez. We can take some time on it. I know it's a lot of numbers, but if I take you through it, basically before the Asia Cup, stock balls seemed to be the off break, which used to give him a strike rate of about 30. He used to bowl that more often, and the carom ball used to be the occasional ball or the surprise ball. And he's got a mix of the others with that swinging ball he bowls and the other variations. Now you come to the Asia Cup, where it seems like 73.4% as against 15% previously is just the carom ball. So the off break has become the occasional ball, and then you got the other stuff. He bowls a googly, he bowls the one that just swings with the new ball with the seam coming into a right-hander, and the rewards are there for you to see. So he's picked up 6 wickets with the carom ball in the Asia Cup. Economy is 5.4, strike rate is 19. So there is a clear change in his approach, and all his wickets seem to have come off the carom ball. Now what does that tell you, Anil?
See, what I've seen little of Theekshana, especially in the IPL, and of course for Sri Lanka on occasions, is he generally bowls the off break to the left-hander more often than not. And the carom ball, I think what Farveez alluded to, he's got a lot fitter, which means that his body is in better rhythm when he's running in, because Ajanta Mendes, who he spoke about, started off literally coming in straight at you. And then he changed his angle for some reason. And once he changed, it was the opposite of what Kuldeep has done. Kuldeep started off from a very acute angle, and then he started coming in straight. And now he's a much improved bowler with the body coming behind the ball, and the pace has got better. Ajanta was exactly the opposite. When he first came into this side, it was quick. Yes, one was it was difficult to pick, and the other was the pace at which he bowled. Possibly Mahesh Theekshana, after he's got fitter, and maybe he's changed his angle of run-up and he's coming in straighter, the pace at which he's bowling is that much quicker. Because what I noticed in the IPL early on for CSK, when he struggled, was his carom ball. Yes, he was bowling the carom ball, but he didn't have the kind of pace that you need for batters to sort of get.
So naturally, this is fascinating. I'm going to just throw a ball at you now. I love doing that. So you're saying that if the reason that the carom ball is more effective is when you're fitter, you can put a little more pace on it, so that it is genuinely harder to get the carom ball to go quicker than your off spinner for an action like Theekshana. If you could just
because you need the body to come behind the ball. You can't just flick it with just that. You need the body to be behind the ball for you to flick. What is good about Theekshana is his off spin grip. That's his off spin grip, and then he just flicks it with the same grip, so you can't really make out until.
So that's the off spinner you've got in your hand.
That's the off spinner, right? And then he just flicks it with your middle finger. You just flick it. But for that to happen, you need the body in sync coming in. You don't want this to just fall away. If it falls away, then you're only using your shoulder and the flick that you have. So you don't have the pace coming in. So I think that's what he's worked on. And once he's got a lot more fitter, perhaps the body is in better rhythm and coming in behind the ball, and that helps in the pace at which he bowls. Because carom ball, yes, it spins only so much, it deviates only so much, but the pace that you bowl is very, very important. If that is slower, then it becomes that much more easier for the batsman to negotiate.
Oh, Farveez, fascinating this hearing from Anil. Your thoughts to add?
I think slower as well as when it comes to the length is very important. Bowlers like Ajanta Mendis and Matchday. I mean, you got to be in that in-between length of not being short, not being full, just like a fast bowler. You need to skid through and you need to have pace, as Anil said. And also when Ajanta came into the scene, he had the pace, he had the deviation, he had everything. Once he had that back issue and the shoulder issue, he just couldn't come down quite quickly with the carom ball, and he was found wanted, and most of the teams played him really well. So that's why I think Mahesh Theekshana, when it comes to his armory, he's fine. He got 3 deliveries which he could, vary according to the surface, according to the opposition. He could use it. But what's important for Mahesh Theekshana, I feel, is his fitness, to keep fit as possible, because he's not a normal spinner. He's like a half spinner, half fast bowler, because he's running in, bending his back, following through hard. You need to be much more fitter. So I think Mahesh Theekshana over the 6 years, as I said, has become a lot fitter. But now, I mean, he just turned 23 last month, and the amount of cricket he's going to play for Sri Lanka and the amount of franchise cricket he's going to get offered from, he has to work a lot on his fitness. Yes, he is fit, but he needs to be much more fitter with the amount of cricket coming up for both of them.
Yeah, just the last point on this before we close the chat. I remember discussing this with Muttai Muralidharan on one of our shows when we were talking more about Varun Chakravarti and Ajanta Mendis, and he said the one thing that we shouldn't forget is they still have to spin the ball, and Varun didn't spin the ball. Something about Theekshana that the turn is still just enough to make him effective?
Yes, and also he has that variation of off spin, and because of his action, because of the speed at which he bowls, it's not easy for the batsman to just line up. So I think the pace, like what Farveez mentioned, the pace, and he's tall, so he gets a little more bounce as well. So it's not easy for a batsman to just line him up.
All right. For all fascinating insight from Anil Kumble regarding Mahesh Theekshana, and watch out for Theekshana. We expect him to take the new ball, and he's going to be up against an opening pair that is slowly creeping up the stats tables as far as prolific run making goes. Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma, if we look at the most runs since 2022 by an opening pair, it's 11 innings between them. The average is 96.6. Now, I guess, Anil, ODI cricket is so few and far in between. You don't get to always see Rohit and Gill bat together. So we've only just about, made sure that this got acquainted to these two being India's openers. But they look so good when they are together. There's a reason that India knew for a while this is going to be their first choice opening combination.
They've batted brilliantly in this series as well. I mean, against Nepal, the average has gone up because of that unbroken partnership of 147, and then against Pakistan, it was wonderful to see them come out positive. We spoke about it before the start of the game, and someone like Shubman Gill playing Pakistan for the first time in a senior group, Shaheen Afridi, he just took him on. He stepped out and then took the game onto him. So both these players are exceptional, and we know the quality and the ability of Rohit Sharma. And the one advantage that these two have both are capable of getting big hundreds, not just hundreds, 200s as well. So Shubman Gill has got it, Rohit Sharma has got it on a couple of occasions. So that augurs really well for India, because if these two, one of them can get these big hundreds in a game, then it sets up a wonderful platform for the rest of the batters to just come in and contribute.
All right, and after this comes Virat Kohli, and Kohli is in love with Colombo. He'd take this ground and this surface anywhere he'd go, but he'd also wouldn't mind playing against Sri Lanka. We know his prolific record against Sri Lanka, but just recent form, if you have to just break it down. A reminder, sometimes ODI cricket can go out of the memory bank with the amount of T20 cricket that comes in between, but the 166 he got at the start of the year in Thiruvananthapuram was terrific. It just set him up for the year to come. There was a bit of a 100 drought in the last few years. It's not been the case this year. Followed it up with runs in Guwahati, as well as 100 in, that was the game at the World Cup in 2019. And his last 6 innings features 400s in them. So not to mention he's just coming at the back of 100 from yesterday. Farveez, Maharoof, players are out there. Let's get a prediction on how you see things going. Tough game for Sri Lanka. Their biggest challenge just yet in the Asia Cup. Are they up for it? And what are they going to keep India down to?
They will be definitely up for it, but decided advantage for India batting first. So I reckon anything under 300, Sri Lanka will be very, very happy about.
And now give me the prediction that you think will happen, Farveez. Give me the score, come on.
296.
296. So Sri Lanka will be happy, just a little under
Just a
300.
little,
Yeah.
No,
Anil.
no, I think 296 will be a tall score for Sri Lanka in my view. I think India will certainly look to get 320 plus.
You think they'll get there?
I
320?
think they'll get there, yeah.
Batting 2. All right, Farveez, Anil, thank you very much. Remember, Rohit Sharma says slow, dry surface. We'll see if that has anything to do with how the runs are scored. Let's hope the weather stays nice and clear, and we'll pick up the chat at the end of the India innings with Farveez Maharoof and Anil Kumble on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday, powered by JBL. Do download the mobile app if you haven't already. We'll see you at the end of the innings.
Stunning looks, then swift.
Make sure you download the ESPN Cricinfo app to stay updated with the very latest from the world of cricket.